As we rocket upward in your journey, it's time to learn how to monitor your mini pools. Keeping your finger on the pulse of your node is vital to the staking process. And we will look at some simple ways of doing so directly in the terminal, as well as the visually pleasing Grafana dashboard. Let's get started. Hello all, JT here. As always, you can copy-paste the commands from right below this video. Let's get started with some useful terminal commands first. HTOP, H-T-O-P, is a simple system monitor. To install it, type in sudo apt install htop and hit enter. Easy as that. And it's even easier to run. Just type htop and hit enter. Now you're looking at a dynamically updating page of information showing the resource usage of various processes on your node. Most importantly, you can see the RAM and the CPU usage. Keep in mind that CPU is shown as a percentage of a single core. Your node has several cores. To exit dynamic pages like this, press Ctrl-C or Q or F10. Now let's look at the df command. It doesn't need installing. Type df-h and hit enter. This command shows you your current hard drive usage. Your node will gradually use up space as it runs. If your drive is getting close to being full, you might need to prune or resync your clients, but it usually takes a long time to get to that point, if it ever happens at all. Next, it's time to check the network usage using vnstat. To install it, type sudo apt install vnstat. Type clear to clear the terminal to get a fresh screen if you'd like. Now we need to find the name of our Ethernet connection, so type nmcli device and hit enter. Our Ethernet connection is ENP88S0. To get statistical info about the Ethernet connection, you can type vnstat-i, followed by the name of the Ethernet connection. Our Ethernet connection is ENP88S0 and hit enter. You are shown current network data, including daily and monthly usage, as well as average received and transmitted totals, notated by RX and TX. If your ISP has data caps, you should keep a close eye on these to make sure that you don't hit the cap. Now, let's take our node's temperature. It has temperature sensors inside of it, and the sensors tool lets you see what they are saying. To install it, type sudo apt install lm-sensors and hit enter. To run it, just type sensors and hit enter. The dynamically updating page shows the temperatures of various parts of your node's computer. It's a good idea to make sure your node stays cool. Below 50 degrees Celsius is optimal. Below 70 is okay-ish, and anything above that up to 100 indicates it's not getting properly cooled. 100 degrees centigrade is the temperature where cheap American beer boils, so let's try to avoid that. Any crazy high numbers you see here, well, they're just plain wrong, so don't worry about those. Lastly, you can check your node's logs to see how your client software is doing. Type Rocket Pool Service Logs ETH1 for your execution client logs, and Rocket Pool Service Logs ETH2 for your consensus client logs. And finally, Rocket Pool Service Logs Validator for your validator client logs. And you can see live log updates for those pieces of software. It's a good idea to sit and watch your logs for a while. You will come to know what to expect as your node works. Sometimes you might see errors. If you have any questions, you can always ask about them in the Rocket Pool Discord. To see the status of all your node's major software at once, type Rocket Pool Service Stats and hit enter. This is a great overview page. And with that, you have now seen the terminal commands. Now let's take a look at Grafana, a dashboard app that can visually display graphs of data about your node. You actually activated this earlier when you checked the Enable Metrics checkbox when configuring your smart node in the wizard. There's just one command to run to allow the Prometheus monitoring tool to collect metrics from the node. In order to do that, we need to know the IP address subnet the Rocket Pool service is using for monitoring. It's a long command, so copy paste from below. The command that starts with docker inspect Rocket Pool. Go ahead and copy and paste that in. You should see something like this. Now we can use that to allow Prometheus to collect metrics about our node by allowing communication through the UFW firewall. The command is sudo UFW allow from 172.23.0.0/16 to any port 9103. Now we're ready to access the Grafana dashboard. To access it, you need to log out and then log back in with an SSH tunnel. That sounds scary, but it's really easy. Type exit and hit enter to disconnect from your node. Now type your normal SSH login command, but add the following to the end of it. Our normal login is SSH Rocket School at 192.168.0.163 dash capital L, then put a space, 3100:localhost:3100 and hit enter to log back into your node. Great! You've now created a tunnel through SSH which takes port 3100 on your node, which is where Grafana can be accessed, and maps it onto port 3100 on your local client machine for however long you're logged in. You don't even need to make holes in your node firewall for it. To open Grafana, just put localhost:3100 into your browser's URL bar. If you see this login window, you're in the right place. The default username and password is admin for both. Immediately, it will ask you to enter a new password. Our password is password123. Just kidding. The password is 123. It's definitely not that. Go ahead and submit, and now you're in. We now need to import our menu configuration, which has already been configured by the Rocket Pool community. Head over to the left sidebar dashboard menu and scroll down to import. Go ahead and click. The dashboard ID we want is 18391 and click load. Looking good. Give it a name if you don't want the default. We'll do Rocket School. We'll leave the folder at default. Select Prometheus as the data source. Click Import. Bam! Look at that. Now you have this super helpful one-stop dashboard to view everything conveniently from any browser on your network. If some of the modules aren't loading, don't worry, the data is there, and there are guides aplenty on how to fix these minor issues. When in doubt, check the Rocket Pool Discord. There's a ton of rocket surgeons in there ready to help propel you into Earth's orbit. On behalf of Rocket School, my name is JT.